84, an event which annually gives us spectacular finishes. Hello, I'm Ken Squire. 11 drivers have qualified through the 1983 season for this, the Clash of 84, a race that pays $50,000 for just 50 miles, 20 laps of action. It's an all-star field, and two of the very best are sequestered in row number 4. Mike Joy is standing by with them now.
Cale Yarborough, you're the fastest driver here this week. You've been in every Busch Clash. You've never won it. How tough a race is this?
Well, it's an awful tough race. You know, we have 11 cars here today, 11 of the best cars in the world and 11 of the best drivers in the world, I guess. And it's just a matter of getting in the right place at the right time, and I hope today I'm going to be in the right place at the right time.
Good luck with it. Nothing is impossible. Last year, Neil Bonnet started dead last in a 16-car field, forged his way to the front of the last lap, and won the Busch Clash. Neil, how tough a job is that going to be today?
Well, I'll tell you, Mike, we were able to come from the rear last year and win the thing, and this old Budweiser car is running awful good. I feel like we got a good shot at him.
Coming from 8th spot will be Neil Bonnet. Now let's go to Ken Squire with the entire starting grid for today's Clash of 84.
In row 1, it's Georgia's Jody Ridley and the 79 winner, Buddy Baker. In row 2, from Ashland, Ohio, Tim Richmond, and outside from Chemung, New York, Jeff Bodine. Going to row 3, Ron Bouchard, Fitchburg, Massachusetts, and carrying the Bud Moore colors, Ricky Rudd on the outside. In row 4, the defending Daytona 500 champion, Cale Yarborough, and the defending Clash winner, Neil Bonnet. Row 5, the 1981 Clash winner, Darrell Waltrip, and from California, Joe Ruttman. And in row 6, from Corpus Christi, Texas, Terry Labonte rounds out the field. They've just started the engines for the event. Working with me, two-time Grand National champion, winner of 50 races, Ned Jarrett. What an overture to our coverage next Sunday, flag to flag, of the Daytona 500, Ned.
Indeed, Ken, with a total purse of $170,000 here today, makes it the richest race per mile in all of auto racing. You can rest assured that every one of those 11 drivers wants to win it because of the money and the prestige that's involved. But if they do win it, they cannot make any mistakes. The slightest miscue can put them certainly out of contention, even out of the race. You know, I can remember when I ran the whole season and couldn't win $50,000, and here we'll see it on CBS this afternoon in just 15 minutes of racing.
The strategy for the Clash, who better to speak about it than the defending Grand National champion with Mike Joy? Here's Bobby Allison.
Bobby, what do you look for on the start?
Well, an unusual situation here, Mike. On the pole, we got Jody Ridley, who is running good, but he isn't quite where he wants to be. But right over here, we got old lead-foot Buddy Baker. I think Buddy, of course, will stand on the gas. We may have something here that helps him. Tim Richmond's deal has been sort of disappointing so far. And Bodine blew an engine qualifying, or had a battery problem. Anyway, had a problem. I think he'll run a lot faster than he looked like he'll be. And Ricky Rudd's run very good. So the outside line may move.
But right back here, Bobby, a group of cars that all qualified at 197 or better, they'll be a factor.
Well, that's true. And Bouchard handling good here is liable to head inside. These guys will head inside, I'm sure. But I don't know what Neil's going to do. He may be stuck in a hole and he may not. But, of course, these guys will have to see what happens up here, and then they'll make the run from right back here and here.
And there's a low-pressure system moving in from the west. We'll be back with all the action of the Clash of 84 right after these messages.
Today's presentation of the Busch Clash is sponsored by Anheuser-Busch, the brewers of Budweiser and Busch beers.
Just when things are easing down, trouble starts up. And when the dust and everything else is settled, you head for the mountains. Busch. Head for the beer brewed natural as a mountain stream, for a taste as smooth as its name. Busch. Head for Busch beer. Head for the mountains.
This is how I give my business career an extra edge. If you're in shape, you've got the edge. Speed Stick deodorant gives you an edge, too. Speed Stick is wider than narrow sticks, gives you man-sized protection. The wide stick feels good going on, and it takes just a few strokes. It's a great value, too. In this world, a little extra edge is all you need.
Let the wide stick give you the edge. Speed Stick deodorant.
By Menon. Baseball star Jim Palmer.
I'll never worry about dandruff again. Sound impossible? Not with Tegrin shampoo. Tegrin has special medicine, so I don't worry about itching or flaking, and I don't worry about dandruff, even if I don't shampoo for a day or two. The Tegrin test convinced me. Tegrin controlled my dandruff not just 1 day or 2 days, but 3 days. I don't worry about dandruff anymore, so why should you? Use Tegrin. Tegrin works day after day after day.
If you're pouring Kellogg's Corn Flakes, you've earned a special place on the front of America's favorite cereal. Sit down to a familiar face, the face of a Kellogg Corn Flake lover, the face of America too. When you sit down to America's favorite cereal, the face on the package is you. So sit down to a familiar face.
We're back with you live at the Daytona International Speedway. You're watching the field, 11 strong. They're going to run just 20 laps to decide $50,000 to the winner coming out of turn 4. Getting ready to address the green flag as the stock cars take over Speed Weeks 84 here at the Daytona International Speedway. Next Sunday, flag-to-flag coverage starts at noon here on CBS of the Great American Race. Pace car is in. Ned Ridley on the pole. Do you think he can stay there?
I don't think he believes he can, Ken Squire, because his car hasn't performed quite that well. The green flag is waving. We'll see right now.
Breaking into turn number 1. Standing by with us also is Richard Petty. He's down toward Victory Lane today. We'll get a few comments from him as the race progresses. And going to turn 1, Baker, the man who ran the fastest Clash, who goes out in front briefly. He averaged 194 miles an hour when he won the race in '79. Ridley surprising on the inside.
Very surprising, Ken, as he came off of turn 2. He got some help from Tim Richmond right behind him. Now Richmond pulls to the inside, makes his move.
3 wide, first 5 laps, crucial in this race. Then it will settle down to the last 3 laps. Down the inside, Tim Richmond in the red automobile going for the lead. The Ford Thunderbird of Buddy Baker on the outside.
They're feeling these automobiles out, Ken. They have not raced them in the draft. They qualified about 2 hours ago, and of course they set the cars up much differently to qualify than they do to race, so it's a hit-or-miss proposition when they set them up for this race.
Neil Bonnet, who came from 15th last year, slides up into 2nd spot. He has the 12 car. The 12 and the 11 car painted identically this season, both out of the Junior Johnson Warner Hodgson stable. And now you're seeing
Ricky Rudd on the inside and the Ford coming up. That car has been running very strong here in practice and in qualifying.
Ford has never won this race. Look at Bonnet hitch up in the draft with Buddy Baker and try to draw away.
That is definitely to their advantage when they can run that tight. As you notice down the straightaway, he was only a foot off his bumper. He drops down to the inside a little bit going into the turns. That's a perfect way to draft. Good, let him pull away.
Big surprise, Joe Ruttman on the outside moving up. Ruttman gets around, Richmond goes to 3rd. Still trapped out back is Phil Yarborough. What a story about Yarborough we'll be telling you later. There's Baker, the man who ran the fastest Daytona 500 in history, 1980, at 177 miles per hour, who has run this race, the fastest race in history, at an average speed of 194 miles per hour, still deployed on the point.
And Ruttman is coming up very quickly, Ken. A surprise that his car, he qualified well for the Daytona 500, but not the kind of speed that he's showing right now. That means that his car is really set up well for drafting.
Ford in front, Chevrolet running 2nd and 3rd, Pontiac in 4th, Ford in 5th.
Baker doing a good job of staying out front. He likes that position, and apparently that car is, the air is coming off of it well for drafting here today.
3 of the 20 laps complete. This time by looks like a record pace thus far. And of course, Yarborough has established a new record for the Daytona Speedway earlier today. Let's get a comment from Richard Petty, the 7-time winner of the Daytona 500. What do you think of it thus far, Richard?
Well, so far it's a typical race right now. Everybody's just sort of jockeying around position, sort of seeing what they can do, how their cars are handling, and how everybody else is doing. But when they get to racing up here in front, the boys behind is going to start catching up, and it's going to be a big crowd again in just a few minutes.
Indeed, that 2-car draft did not work, Ned Jarrett.
No, it did not. Even though they were in single file, Ruttman was able to pull right up on them. And when he did, of course, he brought Richmond and Rudd right back with him. So they're all bunched up again. Richmond down on the inside, though, that could hurt him.
Gang warfare, 11 strong. A crowd of better than 60,000 here on a day day when we've had rain, the temperature in the 60s, winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. 4 laps have been completed of the 20 to decide $50,000 to one of these 11 competitors.
When Richmond pulled out on the inside, he was battling for 3rd position. Now he is back in the 6th position. If you don't have a little help from another car, you can be in trouble.
Baker stays in front. That number 15 is now Ricky Rudd. That's the Bud Moore car that was driven by Dale Earnhardt. Remember Earnhardt in this race? Fined $10,000 a year ago in this event when he disobeyed the black flag. Some of that penalty was later remitted. Out of 4. Single file. Holding steady. Yarborough is beginning to show some strength now. That's not the car he ran for the pole in. He's up to 5th spot net.
For the first time this year, they were able to run a different car than they qualified for the Daytona 500. Identically prepared. You can't tell them apart, but they set that car up. And also, Buddy Baker is running a different car from what he qualified, and so is Terry Labonte.
Working the 6th lap. Next week at this time, there'll be a 19-car freight train at 200 miles per hour down that back straightaway. Here comes Ricky Rudd, the Chesapeake, Virginia driver, in the number 15, the yellow and blue Ford, right down on the bottom of the track. Edges his way around cars. Still Ruttman sustaining 3rd. Baker in front, Bonnet in 2nd. Remember, Bonnet came from last year to win this race. Slow race because Bobby Allison crashed in it a year ago, and then we had that spectacular finish, which you saw at the top of today's program, right up to the wall, raising a little dust, was Cale Yarborough and Darrell Waltrip. Waltrip stays 6th. Yarborough running back in that 5th position, has never finished better than 3rd in the Clash, but he's been in every previous Clash. It's been running since 1979. Here's Yarborough down the inside, trucking on up to 4th.
Making his move. That car apparently is working very well for him, Ken, as he sets his sights on the leaders. We'll see if he tries to do it all at once or just pick them off one at a time.
Cale Yarborough into 3rd. A year ago, in attempting to qualify for the Daytona 500, at over 200 miles per hour, he went upside down. Waltrip is off the pace. Look at him, way at the back of the field.
Yes, he's not even keeping up with the draft. He had gotten back to the back of the pack, and he will soon be completely out of the draft. Apparently, that car is not working, certainly not to his expectations.
Here's the big news of the day. That Yarborough in car number 28 in 4th will be on the pole for the Daytona 500 next Sunday. He qualified today at 201.848 miles per hour. And for the first time in history, we have an entire 200-mile-an-hour front row for the 500 next Sunday. Ruttman inside. The Californian edges his way along. The Dr. Benfield car is coming down low, making his move out of 4. But he's trapped down there on the bottom.
Yes, he is. He had some help from Ricky Rudd as he started to make that move. Rudd's car got loose. He couldn't hang with him. As a result, Ruttman now drops back to 4th position.
8 laps complete, 12 to go, 10 cars still in a bundle.
Here's Richmond trying to move out again, pulling on the inside of Rudd, but he has to have help. If he doesn't have the help, he simply will just be hung out to dry, as we say.
Baker has led every lap. Waltrip again, the 1981 winner of this event in a Buick. He's off the pace. He's in trouble. There are the front 3. Yarborough, I would say he's deployed right where he wants to be, and Richmond is dropping back now. Tim Richmond is falling back.
We understand that he has a tire going flat on that car as he was trying to make his move on the inside.
Here they come again out of 4. Better than 190 mile per hour average. 193.757 the last lap. 9 complete. And now you have 6 cars running within a quarter second of each other. Here's Richmond on pit road. Bad luck for Tim Richmond, who won at Pocono, Pennsylvania a year ago. Back with the leaders. There you see them.
You can't make a pit stop in this race and do any good. You're completely out of it. You have 6 cars there now in that lead draft. Neil Bonnet seems to be content in sitting there in that 2nd position.
Richard Petty, how do you feel it's going for Baker right now? Can he hold him off from that top position, Richard?
Well, I don't really think so. I don't think Betty's really that strong. Right now, the number 12 car is just playing him, and Cale right now is also waiting on his chance to make a move. Those 3 cars are the ones that's really got it right now.
Richard, we're at the halfway point right now. Which position would you rather be in if you were in this race?
Well, really, Bonnet's in the best position right now, but, you know, we don't know what Cale's going to do between now and then. And Ricky don't look like he's handling quite good enough. He's doing all he can do just to hang on there. Betty's taking the whole racetrack, and he's handling real good, but we don't know how strong he is when they start trying to pass him, because all these cars are not really running the same speed except in the draft. If they was by themselves, they'd be separated right quick.
Live coverage of the Clash will continue after this.
Hey, Pete. Going to town with us?
Nah, go ahead. Looks like you had a little trouble.
We can take care of it.
A day off is something real special, but so's a good neighbor.
Going into town with us, Pete?
Busch. Head for the beer brewed natural as a mountain stream, for a taste as smooth as its name. Busch.
Head for Busch beer. Head for the mountains.
6 automobiles battling for $50,000 to win. We're better than halfway. They will complete 12 laps this time by. It's been Baker's all the way thus far.
The car is handling beautifully out front, but as Richard Petty pointed out, you don't know what the car would do if they decide to pass him. But he's doing a good job of leading this thing, and also doing a great job back there is Jody Ridley, who started on the pole. There didn't many people think that he could even hang on. He's doing a good job.
Those are the guys that are back in 7th, 8th, and 9th now. That's Bouchard in the 7th position. Behind him is Jeff Bodine in 8th. And there you see Terry Labonte's car, which crashed in the last lap a year ago, running to 9th. Now you're back with the leaders another time. Last lap, 194.179 miles per hour. Looks like 6th Avenue in New York, just inches apart as they fly down once again into the east end of the 2.5-mile Daytona Speedway up on the 31-degree banking. Baker first, Bonnet second, Yarborough third. It is Joe Ruttman in 4th, Ricky Rudd in 5th as they stream back to the line. And staying 6th, right with that lead pack, is Jody Ridley, who sat on the point when it all began.
He's doing a good job holding that car up there. He doesn't have the high buck financial sponsorship that many of the other teams does have, and as a result doesn't have the crew that have the experience, but he is certainly experienced himself and doing a good job.
Neil Bonnet said, on this race, you throw out the rules. The only time you say, excuse me, is when you're standing in line at the bank.
Now, you're talking about the driving rules. Of course, the technical rules, NASCAR doesn't throw those out. Boy, they really go over these things with a fine-tooth comb.
He meant the driving.
Sure. Ricky Rudd's car seems to be running awfully strong. We've seen him make several moves there, but the car, as Richard Petty says, just doesn't seem to handle once it gets down on the inside.
We have a Ford in 1st, a Ford in 5th. Ford has never won the Clash. Baker in 1st, Rudd in 5th, wearing the Bud Moore colors for the first time in his career. Buddy Baker, winner of 19 Grand National races, try next Sunday to win the greatest race of them all, the Great American Race, the Daytona 500, which you'll see live, flag to flag, here on CBS with 3 onboard cameras this year. One of them will be in Neil Bonnet's car, that number 12 machine. One of them will be with last year's winner, Cale Yarborough, now in 3rd. And our 3rd camera for the first time will be with the king, Richard Petty. 5 to go this time by. Be with us at noon Eastern Time next Sunday for the Great American Race.
Ken, with 5 laps to go, the time comes now to start positioning yourself. Of course, as Richard Petty says, Neil Bonnet seems to be in the best position now, but you can rest assured that Cale Yarborough is going to want to get in that position. Buddy Baker just sitting there. Is it this easy to lead this race? Or here comes Jody Ridley trying it down on the inside. But he says he's got to be thinking, can't those guys go any faster, or what are they going to do back there? He'll find out shortly.
Last lap. 193.673 mile per hour average on the leaders. All right, it is a magnificent chess game that is being played here. Oh, trouble! Ricky Rudd slamming toward the wall, crashing, rolling over, side over side. Ricky Rudd, Ford automobile, out of control. Side over side several times. Lands in the grass just to the top of pit road. The Bud Moore car destroyed. You're watching live from the Daytona International Speedway, the Busch Clash of '84. The most serious crash in the 6-year history of this event has just taken place. Naturally, caution is out. Field has been slowed.
And these caution laps do not count in this race, Ken. It's only green flag laps of 20 laps. It looked like, as they came off of turn 4, that Jody Ridley's car and Ricky's might have touched. They came awfully close. Let's take a look at it.
All right, replay on this incident coming out of turn 4. Ned Jerry.
Here is Ridley on the inside. He might have touched him, but sometimes, because of the compression of the air, here you see Rudd's car turning back the wrong way as it slid. The air got under it, flipped it back the wrong way. I think that it was a blessing that it didn't get into that wall, Ken. It started spinning away from him, just like a bucking horse, going in every kind of a direction. And, of course, Ricky holding on.
Ricky Rudd, former Grand National Rookie of the Year. Last year, he won 3 straight pole positions. He was on the pole here at Daytona, then on to Richmond, Virginia, and Rockingham. Ricky Rudd's car has been destroyed in his first effort for the Bud Moore team.
Very unfortunate situation. I was about to say, as the cars were coming off of there, it was hard to tell if they actually touched or not, but sometimes the compression of the air, they get within a foot of each other, that it has the same effect as the cars touching, and they're almost out of control as they come out of the turns anyway, and it doesn't take much to send it in a spin.
Let's get the analysis of Richard Petty. Richard, you take a look at it and tell us what you see.
Well, I tell you what I seen, it looked to me like that the car just got loose coming off the corner up there. There's a big bump, and if you don't land just exactly right, I think I made a comment before, Richie's car looked a little loose to me. And he's up a little bit higher. If you notice, he's up pretty high coming off that corner. Now, if Riddle hit him, I don't know. He could have touched him right there, because all he had to do was just get a little sideways. But it looks like the car just got a little sideways, and just the cars running that close together, even if you don't touch them, the wind acts like you hit each other. And all he had to do was break the car loose. And then when these cars get sideways, they're bad about doing just what you see here. It just looks like it's a lot more moving around. Ricky, I think, is real lucky because the car didn't hit anything solid. He was lucky that it went away from the wall there instead of hitting the wall, and looks like he's going to be okay on that deal.
A 3,700-pound car, twisting and bucking like it was a child's plastic toy. More from the Clash of '84 at Daytona in a moment.
Baseball star Jim Palmer.
I'll never worry about dandruff again. Sound impossible? Not with Tegrin shampoo. Tegrin has special medicine, so I don't worry about itching or flaking, and I don't worry about dandruff, even if I don't shampoo for a day or 2. The Tegrin test convinced me. Tegrin controlled my dandruff not just 1 day or 2 days, but 3 days. I don't worry about dandruff anymore, so why should you? Use Tegrin. Tegrin works day after day after day.
All you gotta do is smell the coffee, splash on Old Spice. Now you're moving, isn't it nice? Standing tall now, you're doing it right. Pour out a handful, splash on some spice.
Nobody sends more guys out there than America's favorite, unmistakably masculine Old Spice.
Now you're moving, don't think twice. Splash on the feeling, splash on some spice.
Way up here, a line shack can save your life when the weather turns the coldest. But the best time to stock it is always the hottest. And before you head back down, you head for the mountains. Busch. Head for the beer brewed natural as a mountain stream, for a taste as smooth as its name. Busch. Head for Busch beer.
Head for the mountains.
All-Stars Julius Erving and Larry Bird will go head-to-head when the world champion Philadelphia 76ers renew their heated rivalry with the Boston Celtics on CBS Sports. Next.
1977 Rookie of the Year, Ricky Rudd of Chesapeake, Virginia, still trapped in his crushed racer when on the 15th lap, the car went into a series of sidewinding, vicious rolls coming down out of the 4th turn. It rolled for approximately 1,200 feet. Richard Petty.
That's Bud Moore, the car owner there that was leaning inside, Ken.
Richard, you see something like this. Next Sunday you're going for $1 million. How do you do it? How do you come back and race after you see something like this?
I tell you, I guess you just figure it's always going to happen to somebody else. But we've been in the same situation, you know, good things and bad things. But this is just part of racing, I guess, that, you know, everybody just sort of overlooks and says, you know, it's not going to happen again. It happened one time. It won't happen anymore. But these is kind of figure that these cars are, you know, running close to 200 mile an hour. They really are not really designed from aerodynamically standpoint to run that fast. And then we do our little things that NASCAR lets us do as far as the safety rules and speed, put speed in the cars and stuff. And they're capable of running 200 mile an hour, over 200 mile an hour. And, you know, things like this can happen, but they can happen at 50 mile an hour as good as they can happen at 200. It just makes it a little more spectacular at 200.
Winner of Riverside, California and Martinsville, Virginia, Ricky Rudd has now been removed from his car and taken to the field hospital here in the infield at the Daytona International Speedway. And there you see the remains of what, a $65,000 car?
65 to 75,000 if you were to go out and buy that race car, and she says it's completely destroyed.
Here's the immediate report on Ricky Rudd. The report is that after that horrific crash you have just seen, he is simply shaken up.
Well, I'll tell you, that is fantastic news. A tribute to the way that these automobiles are built, Ken.
Ricky Rudd, a go-kart and motocross champion before he went stock car racing in 1975, was running 5th as he came off turn number 4. Out of control, his 3,700-pound Ford Thunderbird lifts in the air, and then disaster.
And it just goes into a cart roll completely. He, of course, has no control over the automobile at this time.
Arm out the window as it came to a stop. 27 years old. Won over $1 million on the Winston Cup Grand National Tour. That's a heartbreaker for everyone involved in that team. There are just days, hours, months of work to prepare for this event. And there you see the concerned crowd standing apprehensive. They have not been told or given the report that we have just heard that he was only shaken up. And that certainly speaks to the safety of the way these cars are constructed when you see something as vicious and nasty as that.
No doubt about it, Ken. As we see it on the screen, of course, the frontal area of the car is completely demolished. So is the left rear quarter panel there. But the roll cage, which really protects the driver more than anything else, is still intact and has the sheet metal in that area in pretty good shape. And, of course, that is the thing that can really help him in a situation of that sort.
Coming next on CBS Live this afternoon, the game you've been waiting for. The Celtics and the Sixers from Boston Garden. That's this afternoon next here on CBS. Two of the NBA's elite. That #1 team in the East, the Celtics, will be going at it. The two teams that could be on a collision course for the NBA playoffs. And it's all here today on CBS. We have 5 laps remaining to decide $50,000 in the $170,000 Clash of '84, 6th annual. Incredible race. Last year, Bobby Allison was the first driver to ever have a bad wreck in this, and it was in the same area. He slid off number 4, but he actually hit the wall, and his car was bounced back into the track. Today, it was actually a blessing for Ricky Rudd that he did not collect that wall, because it's not the rolling over, it's the sudden stop that gets you.
Absolutely. Ken, that area, Richard Petty pointed out that there's a bump there. Actually, my opinion, what happens that the pavement levels out in a hurry. They come off that 31-degree banking onto a flatter surface, and as fast as these cars are running, it actually gets airborne just momentarily as they come off of there. And it's very easy to go out of control, particularly with a car that's not handling well. As Richard Petty pointed out, it didn't look like Ricky's car was handling that well down on the inside. He made several moves trying to get up there, but the car just wouldn't stick for him down there. But yet he was still in there giving it all he had.
We are trying to confirm the report that Rudd was just shaken. That was the first word that came to us, was that he was just shaken. He's being taken for a checkup at the field hospital now. But he really rode that Bronco down. He was on the White Lightning all the way to the ground about 9 times, sometimes 10, 12 feet in the air.
Well, of course, those cars that have dropped out of the draft now, this gives them somewhat of a reprieve because they're right back up there with the leaders for this last 5 laps of racing. Maybe they'll gain new life.
Jimmy Thompson, old-time racer, has said of this Daytona Speedway, there have been other tracks that separated the men from the boys. This track will separate the brave from the weak after the boys have gone home.
That's pretty good.
1959, the day they opened this track. That's what he thought as he looked out over this thing and got ready to run it. Next week, there'll be some 40 to 42 cars lined up to race for over $1 million. We'll have 3 onboard cameras, one of them right there in Neil Bonnet's car, one in Cale Yarborough's car, and one will be with Richard Petty. How about it, Richard Petty? You're looking forward to next Sunday and taking some folks for a ride all over America?
Well, I'm looking forward to having the camera in the car, although I'm not going to pay a whole lot of attention to it, I don't think. I'm going to be busy driving the car, but I think that, you know, that with the camera in the car is the closest that anybody in the audience is ever going to get to driving a race car. You know, if you had the camera in Ricky's car, you'd have got the thrill that Ricky got. But just running around a racetrack at 200 miles an hour and seeing how quick the corners come up, how quick the cars come up, how quick the drivers react is fantastic for me just to watch it on TV.
Well, Richard, on behalf of all of your fans, don't give us any thrills like what we just saw here today.
Well, you can bet I'm going to try not to do that. I'm going to try to be real smooth and real even and just go ahead and win the race from there.
And indeed he has. He's won it 7 times. Richard Petty, the all-time champion, winner of 198 Grand National races. And you'll be with him in the driver's seat next Sunday here on CBS, along with Neil Bonnet and Cale Yarborough. Again, let me tell you, as they come down and prepare for a start, they'll get green this time. Neil Bonnet's on the pole for next Sunday's Daytona 500. He qualified at 200. Cale Yarborough on the pole at 201.8 miles per hour. And outside of the front row at over 200 miles per hour, it's Terry Labonte. Chevrolet's up in front. First time since 1977 when it was Donnie Allison and A.J. Foyt there.
But a Ford is up in front here with Buddy Baker having led all the way. Here they go again.
5 laps to go. Ready to take green. Upcoming. Fast and Furious, the Celtics, Philadelphia 76ers. Today with Dick Stockton here on CBS.
Again, Darrell Waltrip made a pit stop during that caution period. So did Terry Labonte and Ron Bouchard. Waltrip was trying to make a move from the back there. Let's see if he did do something that's going to help his chances here.
May have had a tire equalize earlier.
Could have had, because he was dropping back off the pace. But they're right back to where they were. 1, 2, 3, 4 with Baker out front. And then Bonnet, Yarborough, and Joe Ruttman. They seem to be content. I'm surprised, really, but they know that if they pull out, they've got to have the muscle to move right on that front.
Buddy Baker, who has won and won the fastest 500-mile race in history here at Daytona, 1980 at 177 miles per hour, clicks off another lap. Through the first 15 laps, they were averaging 193 miles per hour, inches apart.
That was Walter we saw tried to pull out, but he saw that he could not do it, so he got back in line once again.
6'4", gentle fellow from Charlotte, North Carolina, Baker on the point. He loves this track. He loves Talladega. Anywhere you can go 200 miles an hour is his kind of racetrack. Bonnet right there. There's the most aggressive of the new stars. Neil Bonnet, winner of the World 600 a year ago. He's never won the Daytona 500, and he said all week, this is my year. We'll know next Sunday. And Cale Yarborough with that great dramatic race a year ago. There he is in third. He sneaks a peek at the outside.
He did take a look there. I'm sure he's just sort of testing the air out there, Kent. Here's a car moving on the inside. Is that Jody Ridley? That car has been exceptionally strong. Now he moves up into the 4th position.
Off turn 2. Ooh, almost a bump there as Rutland's a little squirrely down to the bottom. Here comes Bouchard at the bottom. They're 3 wide. And I believe that's Bodine. Bodine on the outside. Back they go. And all the way with his left side right down on the apron that time was Ron Bouchard, the guy that won that Talladega 500 on CBS back in 1981. What do you think?
Well, the chips are down.
2 to go. 2 to go this time by. All right. Show and tell.
Got to start making those moves. Yarborough knows what he has to do. He's got to pass at least one of those cars in the next lap. Bonnet, of course, will try to keep him from it. Bonnet will want to wait until the backstretch of the last lap if he can stay in that same position.
Defensively, what can Baker do?
Baker cannot do anything except sit there and hold it wide open and hope for the best.
He has that right shoe right through the firewall on top of the carburetor, but he knows that Bonnet's just waiting.
His best shot is for Cale and Bonnet to get side by side and start racing with each other. That could very well happen.
They won't do it. I doubt that they'd do it. They know what would happen if they did. 1, Lap to go. White flag is out. This is it for $50,000. They scream through the tri-oval. They head down that 1,800-foot straightaway. Back on that 31-degree banking another time.
There's Wadine coming down on the inside. That's going to hurt Cale's chances, but Cale's able to pull away as they come off of turn 2. Now he'll try to make his shot down the backstretch, but Bonnet's going to be trying to do the same thing. Who will prevail?
Has Baker tried to save anything? Here's Bonnet coming to the inside. 3 wide behind them. Bonnet going to the inside. Cale Yarborough comes through. Baker falls to third.
Baker was a sitting duck, no question about it. He knew it. There was nothing he could do about it other than to try to draft back past him.
All right, keep your eye on number 28, Cale Yarborough, who's qualified for Daytona 500 at 201 miles an hour. He's got 1 shot left. Here they come to the line. Yarborough on the inside. Bonnet throws the block. Give it to Bonnet. 2 years in a row, he wins the Clash.
The first driver to ever do so.
First driver
to win 2 Clashes.
And he does it back to back. Richard Petty, your reaction, please, sir.
I tell you what, they done the only thing they could do, and Bonnet done the only thing he could do against to keep Cale back there. He done a good job. He done a super job, made the move at the right time, and he couldn't have done a better job than what he done.
A brilliant drive by the Warner Hodgson driver. Neil Bonnet wins the Clash and takes $50,000. And what a way to begin Speed Weeks for these stock cars. Don't forget, next week we'll be with you live at 12 Eastern for the great American race, the $1 million Daytona 500. For Ned Jarrett, Bobby Allison, Mike Joy, Richard Petty, I'm Ken Squire. Thanks for being with us for the Clash of '84.
Busch Clash was sponsored by Anheuser-Busch, the brewers of Budweiser and Busch beers.
Next on CBS Sports, it's NBA basketball. The Philadelphia 76ers against the Boston Celtics. And don't forget, CBS Sports returns to Daytona next Sunday for the 26th annual Daytona 500 beginning at 12 Eastern. The Clash of '84 has been a presentation of CBS Sports.
Fly the friendly skies of United, serving more of the nation's top 100 business centers than anyone.
You're not just flying, you're flying the friendly.